what you learned from Rogers.
Oh, everything, pretty much. All right, let me see. That's nice. You give me a chance to honor my old teacher. I was very lucky. I had a presentation together with him about 6 months before he died or something, and I got to say there all these things. And that's nice to happen, you know. First of all, I learned listening from him. I was not the kind of person who could have discovered listening. I always have something to say, and even now, people have to stop me often and say, wait, Gene, she's trying to say such and such. So I learned listening from him. And then I came, though, with the philosophy. So I came with an interest in what kind of, I came from experiencing the creation of meaning. I came from knowing this thing, this basic thing that I'll talk about after the break. Knowing that the not formulated yet is more than whatever you can formulate. It already knows what you've formulated, and then it's still more. And I wanted to see how that functions in therapy. And they didn't know anything about it. They thought they claimed to reflect feelings. So I brought something to it. But I learned listening from him. Also, I learned from him this wonderful thing that we have in the focusing organization, that we don't let anybody tell anybody else how they have to do something, right? So we issue a lot of instructions, and you're left to your own instructions. And if anybody after I'm dead wants to tell you how you have to do focusing, just go and start another focusing institute, please. Right? Because the essence of it is you're coming from inside and you're going to find your way. And if you have that freedom, and he gave everybody that freedom, then you can listen to each other. Because you know that even if this person is and pushing their thing and it's the only thing, you still wonder, what can I learn from this, you know? Because you don't have to let anybody tell you what to do. And he was magnificent there. So I come as a graduate student in his practicum, and I'm just starting, and I discover that they're doing research. Well, I'm a philosophy student. I don't even know what research is. What does it look like? Is it a big machine? And where is it? The counseling center had 3 floors, and I didn't even know where was the research. It must have been on the 4th floor, but there was no 4th floor. Right? So then I discovered what research is. It's this little stack of statements about yourself, and you sort them, or it's a questionnaire, or it's all these things. And then I found that, well, I was perfectly welcome to contribute to that research. And then I was, of course, a client at the same time. So I had all this experience of being a client. So they were talking about relationship. And they had just finished this big study, and they were very disappointed because the relationship didn't make any difference to the outcome. Well, so I said, what do you measure when you measure the relationship? Well, it turned out they were counting statements that the client made about the therapist. Like, how old are you? Or a man can't possibly understand me, or are you married? Or I like to do this, but not that. And I knew from my own experience as a client that that's got nothing to do with the relationship. The relationship is that when I walked in the door, I was different. How do you measure that? Well, I made a questionnaire for that, and I got to be a researcher, right? They took my questionnaire along with everything else, and 2 years later, my questionnaire correlated with outcome and nothing else did. But that's Rogers, if you see what I mean. Opening everything up to everybody. And around him went on this marvelous discussion of everything. Groups were buzzing and everybody was doing, and he didn't know all of what people were doing, you know. And the same thing all the way across. Like in the waiting room of the counseling center was a stack of papers. The counseling center discussion papers. They were duplicated and you could take them out. There was a little list there and you signed them out. So if you were a client, you could take a discussion paper home and read it and bring it back, right? And there was no difference between the staff and the counselors either. So when the secretary wanted to become a therapist, he said, "Oh, sure, yeah, here's a training, start here and do that." There was, you see what I'm saying? I don't know how to really do that as well as he did. But listening, of course, leads straight into focusing, sort of a continuation of listening. So, it all came from him. Yes? I want to say one more thing to that. The client-centered people don't like the instructions during the hour of focusing. And I can understand that. I think if I have arguments about it. I can understand that somebody who's trained client-centered can feel that issuing these do this, do that kind of instructions takes the freedom away from the client. I think there is some difference there a little bit. And I believe in not violating that. Something very brief and then coming right back again. Focusing itself, though, is not the instructions. Focusing is that thing that happens from listening. People come deeper. And you make a pause and you say it back and you slow it down and you say, "Is that right?" And they say, "Let's see, is that right?" And they're focusing. And so listening teaches focusing to some people. Then we found some people it doesn't, so we come to that. Yes, you're right.